Hey, if this is your first time at the channel, hit the subscribe button and leave us a comment for a chance to win the Kittie 20th Anniversary Vinyl. Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Michael, Aka Rickshaw, and welcome to Worship and Tribute Nerd. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Morgan Lander.
Hello! From many things, I guess, now.
Yes.
I have many names.
Yes, you are an original member of Kittie.
I am.
You are in a band now called Karkaos.
Yep, that's correct.
And you are also in a podcast called Witchfinger, correct?
Yeah, Witchfinger Horror Podcast. Yes.
Yes. So let's start with Kittie. So what's been going on with Kittie as of late? I know that you did like a reunion kind of thing, but
yeah, we did I guess a 20th anniversary reunion show that was part of the documentary kind of experience that we were having. So we did a career-spanning documentary that we put out a couple years ago, and we interviewed as many past members as we could and as many people that were involved in, the story of the band, and just basically told our story. And it was directed by Rob McCallum, who is actually the guy who's doing the action figure documentary that's coming out as well. So he's into some cool nerdy stuff. But yeah, so it was a really cool experience. We got, to sort of, because I think there was a lot of, there's been a lot of ups and downs with the band. We do have, I guess, kind of a sad story. We tried not to put too much of it out there while things were happening, but every band has their ups and downs and whatnot, and it was a little bit of a cathartic experience because some of the people that were in the band years like this, we're going back 20 some odd years, right? And
right.
Some of the people I hadn't really spoken to in a very long time, and we had ended our friendship and our band time together on not so great terms, so it was kind of nice to be able to allow time to heal things and just
right.
forward and celebrate everybody's time in the band in a really positive way. So we did the documentary, and then in order to celebrate the release, we did a 20th anniversary show in London, Ontario. We flew as many people as we could that have been in the band in the past. We did 4 different sets, all different lineups, all different albums. And it was a really, really fucking cool night. It was so much fun.
It sounds really awesome, actually. I used to be in a band called IWRESTLEDABEARONCE, and I know what you mean exactly. Like, when you're in a band with a lot of people, you end up living with them. You're sharing the same space. You grow to love everyone, but then you also grow to hate certain things about certain people, and you really realize who you could live with or who you can't once you're in a band with them for a while. And every time there's a breakup, it's hard, but then after a while you're like, even though I talk shit about my homeboy, I miss that motherfucker. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. You can, when you're in it and it's so intense, especially, touring and stuff, you're in a van or you're in a bus even, and it's just you don't even really have your own personal space. So all people's weird little things start to pick away at you and stuff. And while you're in it, it's yeah, that sucks. But then I found that once you sort of let time, kind of take its course, and, you think back about maybe how you acted or how the other person acted, it's kind of is it really worth it? We did have great times together. We made great music together. We had fun. It's not everything was shit
right.
the whole time. So I don't know. I tend to try to focus on those types of things. And, there were a few people that didn't want to participate, and, we talked deeply about it, and that was fine too. But at least for me, personally, with my interpersonal relationships with those people, it was still nice to be able to speak to them and to sort of put things to rest, and then, make my peace. Even just the process of doing it was that kind of experience, a peaceful experience.
Right.
Yeah.
So with albums coming out like the new Slipknot or the new Korn, have you ever considered like trying to do a new record, as Kittie?
Um, well, at this point, I don't know that that's something that we want to do. Like right now, we are free agents. We're not signed to E1 anymore. We did our couple albums with them a number of years back, and we financed the documentary and the live album and stuff ourselves. Which reminds me, we did put out a live DVD of that concert as well that you can get online on Amazon, iTunes, all that stuff too. Nice. Live at the London Music Hall. But yeah, so going back to Kittie, it's like, I don't know. I don't want this to be like a really depressing fucking episode of your fucking podcast. You know what I mean? But like, like we did lose a band member. Like she passed away a number of years ago. She was my best friend. She was best friends with the other girls as well. We were very tight, that the last lineup of the band. And for me, it's been really hard to try to like, reconcile like just going forward without her, because it feels like she should have been there and she would have been the one to step up to the plate to play. And so for me, it's been like I've been wrestling with that idea, and like losing somebody really close to you is incredibly difficult, and everyone deals with things in a different way. And for me, like I just lost all interest in so many things. I didn't want to make music anymore. I didn't even want to, like, for a while I was doing some stuff on Etsy with like, just like selling like creepy animal stuff, like skulls and stuff like that. And, I stopped doing that like immediately. Everything, I just didn't care for a long time. And, now getting back into music with, writing this album with Karkaos and joining that band, this is the first time I'm sort of back out there feeling like creative, and like part of myself is back again. And so, there might be a potential for that, but at the same time, it kind of feels wrong. Do you know what I mean? So
right, I totally get it.
It's a weird thing. Yeah, it's a really, really weird thing. But I know that, she would have wanted to do it. So it's kind of just like, well, do we just kind of say, you know what, it is what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to hear that. I remember hearing about it, when it happened, but I totally forgot right now. So
oh, that's okay. I just didn't want your father's episode to be fucking like.
But like whenever any kind of tragedy happens, like whether it be like someone passing or breaking up with someone or whatever, like when you finally come back, you're like better. You're more creative. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, for sure. You're a better version of yourself for having to like learned through that experience. I always find like whenever I go through shit, like anything, like band stuff or breakups or like losing a loved one or whatever, it's like I find that I become a better person, a better version of myself after coming out the other side. So yeah, it's like I feel renewed now, with doing some of these projects that I'm doing. Like I definitely keep busy, so that's right. Cool. Like I'm excited for the future, so it's great.
Right. When Kittie came out, it was like the beginning of the big nu metal era, and I have several friends that are like, guess the person you're gonna interview? Yeah, that was my first crush. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So like that's like most of the people I know that were into nu metal. So how does it feel to be everyone's first chick metal crush in the nu metal era?
Honestly, I always thought that like I was like kind of not the like most attractive one in the band, and like a lot of people were like, oh, Fallon, or oh, Talina, or oh, Mercedes. But like that's pretty cool. I definitely think that, I don't know, maybe I don't, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I definitely think I look better now than I did back then. But I think that's wonderful. Like I don't know, I love it. I think it's weird. Like what a weird life, but it is really cool, and I don't know. I hope they enjoy this episode. And hello there, friends. Hi everybody.
So one of my best friends, Fuzz, he was like, as soon as I told him, I was gonna do something with you, he was like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? And he's like, I have to be there. Could I be there? And I was like, well, that would be weird, right? For you to just set in on me interviewing a stranger at this point. And he was like, "Yeah, you know what? Whatever, man."
I mean, he could like stand in the corner if he wanted to, like off camera, and just like stare or whatever. But like, you know what? Maybe the next time we decide to do this, the next time around, then you can have your friend on. Invite him on, and we can fucking shoot the shit, and it'll be cool.
Yeah, you should give him a shout out right now.
Yeah.
Fuzz.
What was his name?
Fuzz.
Buzz? Fuzz.
Yeah.
Hi, Fuzz. How's it going? Thank you for loving me back then, and perhaps now. I don't know. Just really cool. Hello.
All right, so let's talk about Karkaos. How did that come about?
Karkaos actually, they've been around for a really long time. The band, I guess, formed under another name in 2003, and they've had a couple of different singers, but their drummer, Justine, used to play in Blackguard, if you remember that band. They were like kind of a symphonic metal band from Montreal. They did a lot of touring with like bands like Epica and like stuff like that. But we toured as Kittie. We toured with Blackguard and The Agonist as actually one of our very last like full U.S. tours ever. And I met Justine and became really good friends with her. And from then on, we've just been great friends. And when the time came for they had lost their previous singer, and they were like kind of like, well, what the fuck are we gonna do? She was like, well, why can't you just sing? Like, God damn it, why can't you just sing in the band? And I was like, well, why not? Sure, well, we could give it a try. And so, like, Justine and I have actually made tons of songs together in the past, so we actually have a great musical rapport, so I knew that it was going to be a good experience. Like, we have a ton of unreleased projects. We just go into the studio and make a whole album and then just, like, listen to it ourselves, and we're like, our moms are our biggest fans. But yeah, so I knew that it was going to be a good experience, and they had pretty much an entire album already written musically, sort of waiting for the finishing touches of a singer, and I stepped up to the plate. And even though they live in Montreal, I'm from London, it's a little bit of a hike. Technology makes things a lot easier these days, and we always laugh that we're the best cell phone band ever. Like I said, ideas, voice notes and stuff, and then recording, sending demos is super easy these days as well. So I think it makes the distance kind of less of a problem.
Right.
And we played our first two shows, September 20th and 21st in Quebec City and Montreal, opening up for direct support for The Agonist for their CD release for their new album that just came out. So yeah, it was really fucking cool.
That's super awesome.
Yeah.
The Agonist is female fronted, right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I think that the chick that used to be in the Agonist, they have a different singer now, right?
Yeah. Elisa, when we toured with The Agonist like years ago when we met with Blackguard, it was Elisa White Glues who now sings for Arch Enemy.
Right.
And so she left that band because she joined Arch Enemy, and then they have a new girl. Her name is Vicky. And she's Greek. I know her last name is like Sarakis or something like that. Mm. I don't know how to pronounce it, so sorry, Vicky.
But, back in the day, I Wrestled a Bear once did an MTV spot for Maid.
Yeah.
And it was like, I want to be a female fronted singer, so they like covered my band, and the girl from The Agonist was like the host of the episode for that day. So that was
really well. I'm gonna have to YouTube that.
It was really fun. It was like I was on MTV for like 2 minutes. So
that's fucking really cool. That's awesome.
Okay, so now let's talk about Witchfinger. How did that start? I have always been a big fan of horror movies. Like growing up as like a child of the 80s, a lot of us. We have a lot of nostalgic memories associated with going to the video store, like looking at all the spooky fucking covers. We were just talking about how like they don't do covers like they used to. Like they used to spend all the time on the art, and it was crazy. Yeah.
Sometimes the art, I feel like the art's budget was higher than the like special effects budget. Like you like they would put like this fucking wicked creature on the cover, and then you like watch the movie and you're like, what?
Yeah, like some very specific ones were like the Silent Night, Deadly Night, the cover where like Santa Claus is coming out of the chimney with the axe.
Yeah, that one's fucking incredible.
Yeah. And then like Child's Play 2, I always loved that cover where he's like with the Jack in the Box and he's like cutting its head off.
Yeah. I don't know, there's just something about it.
Give me some covers you were into.
Some covers I was into. A movie called I actually haven't seen it for a really long time, but the cover always gives me a nostalgia. Supernaturals.
Okay.
I think it's got like a skull with like a hat and like there's like some creepy shit going on.
Yeah.
I want to say I think LeVar Burton is in it. I actually have a copy that I purchased that a friend of mine is going to be bringing like next week or actually on Sunday. So yeah, I'll actually be able to watch it. Nice. Return of the Living Dead. That one was a big one.
Oh yeah.
That the cover is just like with all the fucking like it's like kind of looks airbrushed kind of, but like with all the zombies.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I'm like, well, let me look at all my tape. But fucking
that movie Parents. Have you ever seen the cover for that movie Parents? That used to creep me out.
Isn't that Randy Quaid? Is that he in that?
I think so, but
yeah.
That was one I never got a hold of. I was like a little kid being creeped out by the cover, but then whenever I got old enough to go and rent stuff, I don't think it was around. You know, it was like
yeah. That one's a little bit more obscure. It's kind of like like The Stepfather, but like the like B or C version of that, because The Stepfather was actually kind of like a good movie. Another one that I just thought of was Pin. Do you know the movie Pin?
Mm-mm.
Okay, it's a Canadian movie, so that might be why. But the cover is incredibly nostalgic for me. It's about an anatomical medical doll that this kid becomes obsessed with when he's a child because his dad is like a doctor, and then the parents like die in a car crash, and then like he starts to get all twisted and think that like Pin is alive and like talking to him and like telling him to kill, of course. But the cover is like it's like a picture of like a stairway that's like dark, and then at the very top is like a guy with like a sheet over his head in like a wheelchair. It's just so fucking creepy.
Yeah, I have a big thing with like killer doll movies. I've always like been like obsessed with them, but I've also been really creeped out by them. So like so like what was the Dolly Dearest?
I was about to say Dolly Dearest, one of the best.
Oh my god, that movie creeped me out so bad.
That movie is fucking incredible. And there's that one scene where it's like towards the end where like the doll like has the tongue that comes out.
Uh-huh.
And it looks like they stuck a pepperoni stick through the fucking mouth of this doll. It's literally the fucking funniest thing ever. Oh my god, that shit is amazing.
Yeah, I always, obviously Chucky was like the biggest one, but like, I think Demonic Toys, Puppet Master, and Dolly Dearest, I always was like, give it credit. Those were in there too.
Totally. Dolls too, the movie Dolls, that was a good one. We actually did a Witchfinger episode on that. We were talking about Witchfinger. Whoops. Going back to that, I guess.
Right.
So yeah, like, I guess we started talking about the covers because like part of my love of horror came from, being young and going to like the local video store and be like, this looks fucking cool. My parents never gave a shit about what we watched. They were like, you want to watch The Corpse Grinder? Okay, you can rent that.
Right.
And our local video store had like a castle inside of it that was like, they made the horror section look like a castle, so you had to walk through this like spooky castle to like get your horror movies or whatever. So yeah, like my love of horror and those types of movies has been deeply ingrained in me, and my sister as well. And so our friend Yasmina, who we met in high school, was my sister's best friend and a good friend of mine as well, that far back. And we would always go to the local Ambassador Video and rent bad movies, and they had an incredible selection of movies. They even had shit like Terror on Tour that now like people sell for like $150 US and shit, like crazy. So a few years back, we were actually just at Yasmina's with Megan as well, who's the other girl on the podcast, and she was Yasmina's roommate at the time. and we were just, doing what we usually do on a Saturday night, just like, let's pick a rotten movie and drink some fucking wine and like laugh and like, comment on the movie and the shit that like everybody does. And we were like, you know what? Like, maybe we think we're pretty funny. Maybe other people think we're funny too. I know it sounds completely silly, but yeah, we were like, let's give it a shot. Like, we started off, I think the podcast has been going on now for a little over 3 years. And yeah, it was just like our mutual love for horrible movies, and just like, because it's such a fun experience to get together, us three girls, we're all like, we watch the movie and we drink while we're talking, and like, it just ends up being like a fun night with friends. And I think that's what keeps us coming back to it, as well as like, it's cool that people actually think what we're doing is kind of neat and endearing and down to earth, and people are really into it. So that's cool as well. But for us, it's mostly just like, let's get drunk and have fun and shoot the shit about.
I mean, honestly, if you put on any kind of podcast where it's like friends that vibe, that are like good at talking, good at conversation, it's usually pretty enthralling. You know what I mean? Like, you could just sit there and listen to someone talk about what they, talk about something they know about, even if you're not interested in it, and you could be like, these guys really know what they're talking about, or these guys are really close, or you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And I've had people say that like the experience is like that. Like, it's like you feel like you're a part of just like hanging out with the gang kind of thing. And like, we get fucking wild though. Like, but we actually recently invested in new microphones. We had some like pretty shitty, like the, Snowball Blue, like the really old ones. And like the when we would yell, like it would just like,
I was actually I was contemplating like, whether do I bring that up? Do I say, hey, you need to get some new microphones?
Yeah, no, I know it's really bad. Like, but to me that's just a testament to like how innocently everything started. Because it's like, well, we're not really that tech savvy. We just like want to yell into a microphone and stuff. And it's like fun. But yeah, no, we ended up we scaled up and we got some new microphones. We actually, spent some good money. So things have been working out a little bit better. I'm the one that edits most of the time. So a lot of times it's just like, turn this down. It's like when we're yelling about, I don't know, dicks, or yelling about we're always,
Billy Zane.
Yes, exactly. Yelling about Billy Zane. I always get worked up about one of the guys,
Yeah, so I watched a couple of episodes, beforehand, and and a couple of my other friends that are in Scary Movie Club with me, we have a thing called Scary Movie Club, but they were like talking about Witchfinger, and he's like, man, they're hilarious, dude, and I was like, well, I'll have to check it out, and definitely watched the Demon Knight episode because
that was so.
That's like one of my favorite old school movies too.
Yeah.
And definitely got wild. And you know what? I agree. Billy Zane is fucking hot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's the babe. And you know what? He still has it too. He's still got it.
Exactly.
And yeah, no, I don't know. Like, but to me, that's just like, yeah, like we just love to have a fucking good time. Yeah, we do get wild. Like, if you don't like burping, that's if you don't like to hear fucking burping. And,
I remember reading, like just a couple of reviews in passing because, I was like looking through the episodes and I saw some reviews and someone was just like, this is the most dude chick experience you'll ever hear. I'm like, that's cool. That's cool.
That's very cool. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, I guess it's our personalities. We don't hold back, I think. Right. And we all kind of bring something to it as well. So, yeah, like you can tell, I guess, that we're just good friends. We just fucking love doing it. It's literally so much fun. The hangover the next day is worth it. It's always always worth it.
So let's get into what you love personally that's nerdy. Like obviously horror movies is a big one, but like anything outside that realm that's still super nerdy, go ahead and just let it roll.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I picked sitting in front of my tape collection because, I mean, it goes hand in hand, obviously, with horror movies, but also just, as a collector of like a dead media, I find it to be kind of interesting. There are a lot of movies that were only ever produced on VHS in the 80s. Like, they never got a DVD release. They never got a Blu-ray release. Right. Now, there are a lot of companies that are doing that, like Vinegar Syndrome and stuff like that, where they take, like, an older movie and, like, can buy the rights and, like, clean it up and, put it out on Blu-ray. But for me, I appreciate the tangible and nostalgic aspect of things. So I do collect VHS. I actually haven't been collecting for that long, which... I don't know, some people might find surprising. And one day I was just like, you know what? I think I'm gonna, like, because these are movies that I've loved and watched when I was a kid. And I am increasingly, wanting to search for that feeling again, that, like, oh, I'm so excited, like, the cover is awesome, and, like, for how shit this movie's gonna be. So, I've always had that attachment to the movies, and that experience, going back with the rental shops and stuff like that. But actually, like, going out and, like, thrifting, going to antique shops, like, that's really cool. Going to swap meets and stuff like that. A lot of cons that we go to. We go to VHS Fest every year, which is something that happens in Pennsylvania at the Mahoning Drive-In, which is really fucking cool. If anybody is, like, into that type of thing. So, like, they have just all tape vendors all day, and then they just, have a selection of movies that they play from a VCR to the drive-in movie theater, like, all weekend. And it's just a really fun experience. You get to meet cool people from all over, and, like, have some beers and just fucking shoot the shit and, like, get some sweet fucking scores. So, yeah, that's, like, collecting movies, tapes and whatnot is a big thing for me. Trying to think what else. I don't collect, a lot of video games, but I am a big fan of, Nintendo, Super Nintendo. I never got into, like, newer technologies. I don't have a PlayStation. Right. Or go to any of that. Like, to me, it just seemed way too complicated. I like a good old side scroller. And I do have, my original Nintendo from back when I was a kid, and my original Super Nintendo, and they both work. I also have a Intellivision that was my parents when they were, like, young, and that still works as well. And I think I probably have, like, upwards of 20 games, and it still works, and it's fucking incredible.
Yeah, as far as, like, video games have come, and I'm still into, like, some of the newer stuff. I'm not like obsessed, but, like, every once in a while I'll let my love for, like, a specific game. I'm like, oh, 5 months from now that game's coming out. Hey, and then I'll grind on it or whatever. But to this day, there will never be anything better than Super Nintendo. Like,
totally.
Like, Super Nintendo was, like, the one console that's just like, this is it. Like, it's not gonna get any more fun than this. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I totally agree. Like, it's like Nintendo, I think for the time, it was like, it blew a lot of kids' minds because it was like, wow, it's so much better than, what the alternative was, like, just before that, Atari and ColecoVision and all that shit. But, like, I don't know, like, there still was a lot of really shit Nintendo games. Yeah. Like, it still, shit looked like a little brick, Yeah.
And there was Nintendo games that you were like, what the hell am I supposed to do? I've been playing for like 30 minutes and I'm in the same section as I started and I don't know what the hell, like, do I got a shit little digital dots? What's happening? You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. So it was like a lot of them that's like it was like a VHS, like the cover played, like made you think this is gonna be some wild ass fucking game, and literally it's like a little fucking, like fucking E.T., the E.T. game
E.T.
where he's like a little bean. Oh!
That's like the most specific one that everyone brings up, like, what the hell are you supposed to do in this fucking game?
Right? Like, some of those games, like, or have you ever heard of, this one is actually a really terrible game. I think it's called General Custer's Revenge.
I feel like I've heard of it, but I don't know.
It's terrible. It's like, I shouldn't even be talking about it, but it's like basically a game where you're General Custer and you go around raping people.
Oh my god!
It's like literally, he's got like a little 8-bit boner and shit. It's fucking weird. But like shit like that. It's like terrible, just awful shit. But then Super Nintendo took it to like a level that was like still very much like the playability and like simplicity, but like the graphics were fucking like Super Mario World, still one of my all-time favorite games.
Yeah,
all time.
They just took it up a notch. You know what I mean? Like that. I remember Super Mario World coming out and being like, "This is the biggest open world game I've ever played."
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, no, it was fucking like for its time, it was incredible. But like Super Nintendo still did have like some shit games. Like I'm pretty sure that Michael Jordan game was like pretty shitty. Right. I remember he was going around throwing basketballs. I think I think I have that actually.
And then like in Nintendo or Super Nintendo, if they ever tried to make a horror video game based on like any movie or anything, like it was always so bad. You're like, what the hell am I playing? Like, especially like the Jason, the Friday the 13th one for original Nintendo. Yeah. I'd be like, oh, you mean the game where you walk around for a little bit wondering what to do and then Jason shows up and kills you? You know, like no one knew what to do. Like
I know, it's so weird. You have to light the fireplaces and then it doesn't matter anyways because he fucking goes and kills you. But yeah, that one was really difficult. I never got through that game. I've never beaten it.
I really like the color scheme of Jason though, like the purple and the light blue or whatever.
Yeah, that one, I think there's a lot of, especially recently, it seems like, you know, there's a lot of merchandising kind of stuff that comes with that. So my cat just got in my lap here. Because I like the blue and the purple, it just looks so fucking striking.
Yeah.
Actually, one game that I actually am looking for Super Nintendo, speaking of awful horror movie games, is Warlock. Okay. There's a Warlock Super Nintendo game,
right?
That I actually had heard about it, but never really saw any of the gameplay. And Witchfinger's actually doing a live podcast, like Halloween episode coming up, and we're doing Warlock 2. We're watching it in Toronto at the Grand Gerard Theatre, and so I started to look sort of into it, and I was like, this game looks fucking hilarious. Like, you know, I don't know, just anything to do with that. The movie is ridiculous, but it is a side-scroller, so it doesn't look like it would be terribly difficult, but it's definitely a game on my list for Super Nintendo that I definitely want to get my hands on.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, you know, as someone who loves and appreciates horror movies, like, I have a lot of friends that, like, end up talking about ghost stuff, you know, when we hang out, and especially my... So the people that were in my band at the end of it were actually from Canada.
Okay.
Courtney and Michael, they were in I Wrestled a Bear Once, and now they have a band called Spirit Box.
Ooh.
So check that out if you haven't.
Yeah.
But we always end up talking about ghost stuff, and you know, if you have any ghost stories, are you interested in ghost stories or?
Actually, I do have one ghost story, but I do want to talk about unsolved mysteries because
I just brought that up the other day. I was like telling my friend, he's like talking about all these horror movies when we were kids or whatever, and I was like, yeah, but you ever heard of unsolved mysteries? And
right?
He was like, I don't know, it sounds lame, and I like explained, no, dude, like these are like the true stories of like, you know, hauntings and stuff that like haunted my entire childhood. So
totally. And Robert Stack, what a fucking voice. Robert Stack, what a motherfucker. It was the music. Like I'm not kidding you. I will be 38 years old in January, and I'm a grown ass woman. And when I hear the Unsolved Mysteries theme song, I'm still shitting my pants. I am transported back to being 5, 6 years old, watching the show, literally fucking terrified. Like that shit. I don't know, whoever wrote that, genius. Fucking genius. But yeah, I'm actually a huge Unsolved Mysteries fan. I love all the paranormal stuff. I love all the alien shit. All the like, you know, missing people and like this, you know, suspicious murders. I actually have the Unsolved Mysteries Ultimate Collection. It's sitting right here.
Nice.
My mom bought it for me. Off of eBay for Christmas, and apparently now they go for like over $1,000, which is fucking mind blowing.
Damn,
it's crazy. Yeah, and I also, when they first put them out on DVD, I bought all of them as well. So I am a huge fan. I love Robert Stack. He was a good dude.
Yeah, I always think
voice.
I always think of basketball.
Yeah.
Whenever he's like, I don't know, he could be hanging by his neck in his fucking closet, and then Robert Stack's like, scenario number 1, he's hanging by his neck in his fucking closet.
Oh man, I know he was in some good shit. Yeah.
I always think of the episode where it's talking about like it's like a bunk bed or something, and like they get this hand-me-down bunk bed, and like the kids that are raised and sleeping in these beds always they always claim to see like a witch standing behind the door.
Oh,
and
like deathbed, the bed that eats.
is that what it is? I haven't seen
No,
that,
no.
so
But I'm trying to think. I don't know if I remember that specific like sequence in the episode, but one that always sticks out to me is the ranch one. There's one where there were these like 3 or 4 like kind of ranchers, like cowboys, in Texas, and they bought this little like cabin or whatever. So they were going to start fixing it up to rent out for like, like, I don't know, hunters or whatever. And the first night that they slept in it was like, they all were in their like respective beds, and there was like this horrible like smashing sounds the entire night. Like as soon as they'd fall asleep, like it would sound like somebody was smashing a chair on the wall, like in their room and shit.
Right.
And these were grown ass fucking men. And the guy was like, "Oh, if you don't believe me, come on down. We'll fix you up. We'll fucking,
Right.
come down, see for yourself." But like they all had this crazy story about, like this wild fucking noises and like crazy ghostly happenings. I've never really had anything like too much like that happen, although I do have one ghost story that comes to mind. It happened on one of the very first European tours that Kittie ever did.
Okay.
And we were at a hotel in England, in London, and of course all the buildings there are super old, super creepy. I couldn't tell you what the name of the hotel was, but I do recall it being very like old asylum-y kind of feeling, where like you would walk down a hall and there would be like a big, push like wooden door kind of thing, and then you keep going through another hallway and there'd be more of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember we checked in, we found our room, put our stuff down, and then left, and then came back, and we couldn't find the room. It was like the numbers had like switched and changed. And it was like we literally walked around for such a long time, and we were like, we cannot find our fucking room number. This is really, really strange. And then finally we did find it, and that night we split off into 2 different sections of the room, and I was staying with, I think it might have been Fallon, and in the middle of the night, I saw light come into the room, like the door had opened. Mm-hmm. And somebody had walked in, and I looked beside me, and Fallon was still in there. And I got up, and the door was locked and shut. And that was fucking really creepy.
Yeah. And
also, I was plagued all night by the sounds of screaming. Like, somebody was just screaming and screaming all fucking night, and it was like coming from the hallway or somewhere else. And I was just like, what the fuck is going on? And so I kind of felt like that was part of the like paranormal experience. Like, I don't think anyone was brutally murdered in the next room. And it wasn't like someone was having a real good time. It was like a howling, an awful, awful sound.
I've had friends say that, when they've stayed in like haunted, creepy places or whatever, and they've said that like it's almost like it wasn't happening. They've heard, like they said that they heard talking. And it was like talking all through the night, and then but every time that they would like realize that there's talking, and they would like sit up, there is nothing. But it, like it's so I don't know. It's just
it was very much like that. Not like where I was like sitting up and I could hear it, but it was like while you're sort of drifting off, like you could just hear this like horrible, horrible howling, and then like you wake up and you come to your senses, and like the room is quiet.
Right.
It's it's really fucking spooky, and like I thought maybe I was going a little crazy, but when I woke up I was like, this place, there's something definitely wrong with this place. For sure.
I at one point in time my old band was offered a chance to like do an album, and the person that wanted to do it was like, we're gonna find the creepiest, most haunted place ever, and we're gonna stay there, and we're gonna record the whole album there, and just get weird. And like I was like, holy shit, that sounds amazing. As much as I am scared of ghosts and freaked out by it, that sounds so cool. And then it fell through. So
no, boo, that sucks.
Yeah, but can you imagine doing an album in like the creepiest, most haunted place ever?
Yeah, and amazing. like what? Maybe you could capture something. Maybe like, you know, like some ghost to be kind of making noises in the background or something.
Right.
Fucking crazy.
All right, so you know we've covered some ground. We've got some good stuff. Is there any? So earlier, you know, we were texting. And I'm like, yeah, I'm almost ready, and you're like, yeah, me too. And I'm like, Coolio.
Oh yes.
So if you got tour stories, or if you got a specific Coolio story, I want to hear it.
I know you're dying to know now because I was like, oh, Coolio, I got stories about that guy. Oh man, well, it's all wrapped up with the whole like. So years ago, ICP contacted Kittie and said, "You guys want to come out on tour with the Insane Clown Posse?"
Yeah.
And immediately I was like, "No, we're not doing that.
Right.
We're not doing it." But then it was like, well, maybe it would be like a good move because, you know, their fans are like pretty open and stuff, I guess. So, like, we fucking went on tour with Insane Clown Posse.
How was it?
2010, and Coolio was on that tour as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a really, really weird bill, a really weird experience.
I mean, it sounds amazing.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm not a juggalo or anything, but, like, I don't know, it was definitely an experience, and we got to play The Gathering, too, like, their fucking, like, festival where, like, people are, like, all drugged out and walking around naked, covered in mud and shit. It was fucking wild. It was so wild. And our set, I think we went on at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning. It was like music all day, all night. Like Bobby Brown played before us. Damn. Bobby Brown.
That sounds amazing.
It was completely fucking insane. Anyway, so Coolio was on the tour, and he's pretty fucking creepy. Like he was walking around like he was basically sexually harassing us the entire time. Like he licked our, you know, Ivy, our bass player's face. He was like, "Girl, you taste like payday." But the fucking, like, he was just like always like, "Oh my god, everybody, like, who goes around? Let's go and fucking hide," because he was just so incredibly intense and crazy. But the one story that I have like video evidence of was there was one night, I don't remember where we were playing, but we were all sharing one communal dressing room. Everybody was sort of in the same, it was like a big kind of conference roomy type thing. And Coolio was in there, and I don't know, everybody was just like hanging out, doing their own thing or whatever. And Coolio starts like rapping to me. He's like does this song and he's rapping "If I Was Your Boyfriend," blah, 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 blah. And Tara, our guitar player, fucking grabbed her fucking phone and started recording this shit. So there's a video of Coolio like getting all creepy. He's like humping my chair and stuff. He's like, "If I was your boyfriend," and I'm like laughing, but it's really comfortable at the same time. But yeah, so that's my fucking Coolio story. I did a tour with Coolio. It was really, really weird. And he made a song for me about being my boyfriend, and my life forever. It was very interesting.
That is amazing, and you know, I wrestled a bear once. Actually, got a ICP offer at one point in time, and
really?
we turned it down actually. But but at the time we had a lot of stuff going on. But you know, in hindsight, maybe we should have done it. Just, you know, for at least the experience, you know, because
totally.
Because so at one point in time we filmed this movie. And it was like, and the one of our directors that like did lots of our videos had this idea. So we made a spoof movie. It's kind of like a spoof of Nightmare on Elm Street, and it's called A Very Scary Movie. So cool. if you ever get a chance, I would love to hear what you thought about it.
Yeah, I'm very curious. Check that out. That's fucking cool.
But anyways, we premiered that at Rock and Shock in Mass, and when we were up there, you know, premiering it, ICP was playing the festival. So Scott Lee was like, hey, if you want, we could go over and watch ICP. I'll just let you into the show. And it was unreal what I saw that night. It was just like a huge sea of juggalos, and it was pretty fucking awesome, to be honest.
Yeah, no, honestly, like, it's such a weird thing. Like, I mean, yeah, there's like, there's some weird stuff that goes on, but like, like, the thing that I give them the credit for is, like, they're so dedicated. It doesn't, like, they don't give a shit. And, like, I find that the dedication of them towards, like, the band and towards, like, pretty much any band that ICP is like, yeah, you like this band, and then, or, like, you take Kittie out on tour and, like, they're into it, right? It was kind of a weird and incredible thing, but, I don't think I would ever do it again, but I'm glad that we did, because it's like, it was great stories. Like, doing the gathering was fucking mental. Like, I remember waking up, like, super early in the morning and just sitting at the front of the bus and, like, just watching, like, people fucking from crawling out from under rocks and shit, just like naked from the night before, still just like naked and just fucked up, just like creatures just everywhere. It was super, super weird and super incredible. And like, you can get any drug there.
Yeah.
Like, people just like have signs that are like, like a lemonade stand, but it's a meth stand. Like, fucking, like, anything goes there because it's private property and like there's no police, so it's like you don't have to, like, yeah, you can take your whatever you're into the fucking park or whatever.
ICP is like kind of like the Tom Green of music. They're just like, look, we're here to get weird, we're here to do something that no one else does. And I think they've outlasted Tom Green, even though,
they have. That's actually hilarious. I was thinking about Tom Green the other day, and I was like, what the fuck happened to that guy?
No shit, right?
Yeah, what
Freddie
does he
got
do?
fingered?
Yeah, Daddy, would you like some sausage? That shit's fucking weird.
That guy was so weird.
Yeah. I wonder how he's faring now as like a mid-50s fucking, like, man.
The best episode of the Tom Green Show is when him and Andy Dick dressed up as each other.
Oh, fuck. You know what? I don't know if I've seen it, but I don't know if I remember that episode.
It's good. If you could find it, go to the YouTubes and look for it. Cause it's
the YouTubes. Andy Dick, that guy's a fucking character too. Holy shit.
Right. So, I guess here we are at the end of our journey.
Woo! Would you look at that? That was fun. That was super fucking fun.
Yes, I did enjoy it. I always have fun doing these things. It's fun to pick people's brains and find out what kind of nerdy shit they love.
Yeah.
And I've recently got a lot of different compliments from people being like, some of these interviews are like the best interviews I've ever seen. And I'm like, oh, well, thank you. I don't believe that's true, but I think it's fun to find out, like if I'm watching my favorite, like my favorite band person or my favorite actor or whatever, I love to hear what they're personally into, you know what I mean? Opposed to just talking about the movie. It's like, or the music. It's like, yeah, I'm going to listen. Yeah, I'm going to watch the movie. Let's hear about what they nerd out about, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Something a little more candid, for sure. I don't know. I think sometimes that's it's a little bit more of an endearing thing, you know what I mean? Like, you want to be able to, get a little deeper maybe with, some of your favorite, singers or whatever. Like, just cool fucking people shooting the shit. I'm into it.
All right. Well, if you want to take a moment and promote anything you got going on.
Yeah, I can do that. All right. Well, I wear many hats in my life. You can check out Witchfinger Horror Podcast. We're on Instagram. You can go to witchfinger.com for episodes, as well as iTunes. We're on Stitcher, and we're on Spotify as well. You can check out Karkaos. That's my new band. On Instagram, on Facebook. There's a Spotify channel. Our new album will be coming out hopefully next year. We're going to probably record at the end of this year, so that will be really fucking cool. Kittie, if any of you guys are curious, we have a career-spanning documentary, as well as that includes a Blu-ray, DVD, and a live album that we remixed and remastered stuff from all the way back from like the Ozfest that we did, the very first tours that we did. So it's got like music from live stuff from all over, as well as the live at the London Music Hall, which was the 20th anniversary show that we put out. There's a Blu-ray and a DVD, and you can get it digitally as well on Vimeo. What else? That's about it, really. You can go to my Instagram if you want, Dial M from Morgan. Find me on Facebook and say hello.
All right, well, I have enjoyed, and hopefully we could do this again sometime.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're ever in the States, in Texas, or if I'm ever up in Canada, we could do this in person.
That would be rad as fuck. And it would be a riot if we could get all three girls, too, from the Witchfinger Horror Podcast.
Oh, that would be an absolute blast, in my opinion.
Yes, we'll bring the beers and it'll get fucking crazy.
Well, I look forward to it. If you like our videos, press the like button. Leave us a comment. Tell us, what do you got for tell us something?
Tell us what your favorite ICP song is.
That's amazing. And on that note, see you later, nerds.